Have you ever been going along in life and you had something pop into your head completely random, not something you were thinking about, but it made you stop and think about what that was and consider maybe why it popped into your head at the time it did? This week, while I was driving to work, I don't remember what I was thinking about, but I was not thinking on the subject of leadership. But all of a sudden, this phrase popped into my head, and it was that great leaders are great communicators. Now, I'm sure for all of you that are listening, that's not some great revelation. That's not, certainly, I'm not trying to say I'm the first person whoever thought something like that or that it's a new idea. I'm sure I've heard that before from many of the speakers that I've listened to. But what I found interesting when it popped into my head and I stopped to think about it for a moment was that I never stopped to determine if I really believe that's a true statement. There are times where we should just listen to the people who have gone before us, listen to leaders in certain areas that have walked the walk and they have the fruit in their life. They know what they're talking about. But I also think it's important that when you hear somebody say something, you ponder it. You think about it. You just don't take it as truth. You ask yourself, do I agree with that? Do I believe that? Does it fit in with my beliefs uh, and my morals and my integrity and my character and all those things? And I realized that if you had told me previously, great leaders are great communicators, I'd have been like, absolutely. But I had never really stopped to think, do I really believe that? And so I did. I have a commute about 30 minutes. I had time. So I was sitting there thinking, okay, do I believe that statement? Great leaders are great communicators. And one of the first things I thought of was, well, the definition of a leader is somebody who leads a group of people. But not only do they lead a group of people, but the assumption is that they're leading them somewhere or to something, whether it's a physical location, whether it's to a belief or to a way of living or whatever it is, you're leading people somewhere in something. And to be able to lead well, you have to be able to communicate. Where are we going? Why are we going there? How are we going to get there? What are we going to do when we run into obstacles in getting there? When are we going to stop? When do we know we've done enough? All of that requires communication on the leader's standpoint. And so as I just thought about it, I thought to myself, yeah, I agree. That is a true statement. All great leaders are great communicators. But then I took that a step further and I began to think, well, I want to be a good leader. In the company that I work for, I have a supervisor position. So I do have people that I'm leading. And even the people who are not on my team, uh, as a leader in a leadership position, others look to me for guidance and direction, things of that nature. And so, okay, I want to be a great leader there. And I begin to ask myself, well, okay, do I have great communication in that area with the people that I'm leading in that organization? You know, One of the things that I know about great communication is you have to speak to them in a way to the people you're leading in a way that they understand it. And so I thought about that. Well, I am a supervisor. I'm a leader. And then I began thinking about this YouTube channel. Right now, this channel, the More Intentional Life channel, really is just me documenting my journey in personal development and my journey in endeavoring to live a more intentional life in every area of my life. But I'm not going to lie. Eventually, as I grow and as I develop, and as if this channel grows, eventually I want to be leading people. Those that are just starting out, maybe I can share with them the things I learned. I can help them along the way. I mean, so eventually I want to be considered a leader on YouTube, not necessarily just a content creator, but here's what I went through, here's what I learned, how can I help? That's a form of leadership. Well, becoming a great communicator, looking at a camera or even, with an audience that you don't have a face to face with, that communication is going to be different than how I communicate with those that look up to me at my organization. And so I begin to think, well, how do I become a great communicator in this realm, in this area? And then I begin to think about something I know I've heard John Maxwell say, I know I've heard others say it, is that everybody is a leader in some capacity or in some way. I'm a husband. I'm a father of two kids. One of them is 3, one's about to turn 5. And so in my house, I'm a leader. Well, of course, I want to be a great leader, but I never thought about it in terms of that means I have to become a great communicator with my wife and with my kids. And even as my kids grow older and as they start taking on their own personalities and different experiences, how I communicate with one might be different than how I communicate with another. But I have to become a great communicator to my wife and to my kids if I'm going to be a great leader for my family. And that got me thinking about the fact that if we're all leaders in some way, if all of us have somebody they're looking up to, that's looking up to us, somebody's going to follow us in some way, then every single one of us should have an interest in becoming a better communicator. Now, that doesn't mean you have to become a great orator. That doesn't mean you have to study public speaking or you have to become eloquent in speech. You know, for some people, if I would stand up and I would wax eloquently and use all of these big words and I'd sound super intelligent, I wouldn't be communicating well because that's not how they receive communication. So you don't have to become a great orator, but if we're all leaders in some way and we want to be great at doing that, then we all have to become great communicators. And so it just kind of a different way for me to think about it. You know, I've been kind of in this personal development realm for a couple years. I went to a couple conferences. Really, I really see the beginning of my journey was last year. I really dug into it. I really said, okay, I'm going to develop myself. I'm going to experience personal growth. And very quickly after that, I realized for me, personal development was living a more intentional life. But now I see that, okay, as I lead these people, I need this. And so that's something I'm going to work on. You know, part of living the intentional life is recognizing what you're good at, what you're not good at, and determining, is that something I need to work on now? Is that something I need to work on later? So I'm going to be endeavoring to become a great communicator in the organization I work for. I'm going to do my best to become a great communicator to you if you come back here and you join me in my journey of living a more intentional life. Hopefully, I become a better and better communicator so that eventually I could lead somebody to living a more intentional life. I'm going to learn how to become a great communicator to my wife and my children. What about you? Who do you need to become a better communicator for so you could lead them in a better way? And what will it take for you to become a great communicator in that area so that you can be a great leader in that area? And this is just a journey. This is things we're all learning. I honestly, I'm going to have to go find the right materials, the right resources. So if you have resources that you think are that have helped you become a better communicator in any area of life, you know, career, family, friends, whatever it is, leave the comment in there. Share it with the rest of us. I want to become a better communicator. I did recently just join a membership that hopefully is going to help me become a better communicator here. But where else? If you have anything that would be helpful to anybody else, leave it in a comment. If you want to join me on this journey of living a more intentional life, and whether it's just to see if I get anywhere, or maybe there's a few things you're still wanting to learn that I've already experienced and I can help you, well, then hit the subscribe button. But until I see you again, go out and live a more intentional life.